But if a fictional TV character could become a controversial issue in the presidential campaign, it was a real woman who would split the country in two. Hillary Clinton, wife of Democratic nominee Bill Clinton, was unlike any prospective First Lady in history. An accomplished lawyer, she was not content to play the traditional political wife.
When I was the First Lady of Arkansas, I had been my husband's partner on really significant policy efforts on education and health care and children's welfare and the like.
Never in a presidential campaign has the candidate's wife become such a strong symbol of the campaign's strength and weakness.
During the campaign, Mrs. Clinton's professional ambition and occasional slips of the tongue alienated large parts of the country. At one point, questioned about possible conflicts of interest between her career and her husband's, she seemed to belittle stay-at-home mothers.
I suppose I could have stayed home and baked cookies and had teas, but what I decided to do was to fulfill my profession, which I entered before my husband was in public life.
I was not impressed with her at all. I felt like that she rather put down women when she said, well, I'm not going to stay home and cook cookies.
She did not fit the cultural ideal of wife and mother, even though she was one. If you look at any of the president's wives, the First Lady is still supposed to be the wife, the mother. Boy, when Hillary would step over that line, she got hammered more than probably any woman in this country ever has.
Bill Clinton went on to win the election, but Hillary remained a polarizing figure as First Lady, particularly when her husband asked her to spearhead his administration's health care initiative.
When Bill asked me if I would work on health care, I said of course, because it was one of his highest priorities. It was certainly something near and dear to my heart. Oh my goodness, it was just such a firestorm.
Socialized medicine makes me sick.
I really understood that to some extent, it was because there were different expectations about the first family of the nation. There were greater concerns about the influence that the First Lady might exercise on policy. And I think that it was a great lesson for me.
In the months after the defeat of her health care bill, Hillary retreated from her very public role, adopting many of the traditional duties of First Lady. But in a less overt way, often while traveling abroad, Mrs. Clinton continued to advocate for women's issues. In September 1995, at an international women's conference in Beijing, she confronted repressive regimes all over the world by asserting the basic justice of women's rights.
That human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights once and for all.
When she stood up and said that women have all the rights that accrue to men in this world, it changed the language of human rights and women's rights all over the world in one fell swoop.
In Hillary's careful balancing of her image and her ambition, she was accommodating the country's deep ambivalence towards feminism.